So this is the definition of objectivity. Whatever our roles are is never forgetting any of them, but not allowing any of them to intrude on the present action. The question, of course, is how do we gain objectivity? All right, so we're going to go through two aspects of gaining objectivity. The first is the development of the intellect. So objectivity is defined as intellect governing mind. If it's the intellect which governs the mind that creates objectivity, then what it means is we need to strengthen that faculty. So one of the ways we understand it is that the intellect is like a muscle. If you want to strengthen a muscle, how do you do that? You work it. You work it out. Same thing. So let's say you have your muscles of your body. Every morning you go to the gymnasium and you stretch and squat and lift and do all the things that you do. You do that once a day, every morning, and you take that strength with you everywhere you go. It's natural, easy. So too, we have to use our intellect to develop it. When we question everything, what's happening is that the intellect is being exercised. Now, questioning doesn't just mean taking a contrary position. You'll often find this in some people who, for whatever reason, they're just a contrarian. They're not genuinely questioning something. They find whatever position you have taken and just immediately reflect and stand in the opposite position. But what about this? This is not genuine questioning. This is just playing intellectual ping pong. You've put a concept or an idea towards me, I'm just going to hit it back. Questioning means, put it this way, the essence of questioning is to recognize I don't know. When a person is a contrarian, they've got that arrogant feeling of, yeah, I know. I already know, and I'm just going to say something different to what you have said. Genuine questioning has as its core a recognition of, maybe I don't know, or maybe what I think is not quite correct. Let me find out. So this is this beautiful quality of humility. He calls it the premier scholarly virtue. If you want to be a scholar, he defines the top scholar not as the one who knows the most stuff, but as the one who has the most humility. That's the highest quality of a scholar. And so when we recognize I don't know, then we can start to say, but what about? And the beautiful thing about questioning with this humility is that we're not afraid to ask a question. Often we're sitting in let it be a meeting or whatever it happens to be, and someone's giving us information. And they say, you understand? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't want to appear stupid. I don't want to seem like I haven't understood or like I'm dumb, or maybe he's already explained that. No, humility does not care about this. Humility just wants to know because it recognizes I don't know. And so you will ask the best questions that you can ask for you, because there's an area of recognition. I don't know what this is. Let me investigate. So questioning everything through life develops the intellect, and it starts as young as you possibly can. And so this is our role as parents, is to nurture that. Now it's difficult, because if you have a couple of kids who are at that age where they're just questioning everything because they themselves are like little contrarians, the tendency is to dismiss, or even worse than that, shut them down, or don't ask questions. We have to nurture that questioning tendency, and it's natural in all of us. Young kids have this natural tendency to just want to question because everything for them is so fresh, everything's so new. We can also develop it in ourselves by establishing it as a daily study. So this is the thing that we say is one of the most important aspects of developing the intellect, is to have a daily study practice. You have a gymnasium for your body, establish a gymnasium for your intellect. And the beauty is that you don't have to go anywhere. Just go to your table, sit down, take a philosophical text. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's a genuine philosophical text. Start to read. Stop after one paragraph. Go back, read it again. Stop, go back, read it again. Go line by line. Look for every noun in that sentence and make sure you know exactly what it means. Because again, we have these preconceived ideas. So a person writes in a book, selfishness is the cause of mental agitation. Now, I presume I know what the word selfishness means because I'm an intelligent person. Of course I know what selfishness is. Stop. What does selfishness really mean? What does mental agitation really mean? Get those definitions clear. He's establishing a cause-effect relationship. He's making an assertion here. What is the cause-effect relationship between selfishness and mental agitation? This is the questioning that we go through. So you might pick up a book and spend an hour studying in the morning and get through 3 paragraphs. Now, normally if you spent an hour reading a book, you'd get through 3 chapters. It's not the length of study that has any effect on our intellectual development. It's the depth. And so this is the key to it. Go slowly. Anything that makes sense to you, question it. Maybe I've got it wrong, even if it makes sense. Anything that doesn't make sense to you, make a note. Write questions down. Bullet point it. Take out the salient points and rewrite it in your own words. A really great way to study in the mornings is to pretend that you are teaching it to somebody else. Imagine a person sitting opposite your desk and they have said to you, what's this paragraph all about? What's he saying here? What's the thought flow? What does all this mean? How do I apply it practically in my life? Pretend that you are trying to explain and convey these ideas to others. This becomes a daily study practice. We shave every day, the men at least. We bathe every day. We perform exercise every day. Our intellect must also be bathed and exercised every day in order to keep it sharp, to keep it going. The second aspect of maintaining a sharp intellect is what we're calling introspection. So the word introspection has different meanings in different contexts. Here it refers to a very specific practice. It's the last thing you do in the evening. You perhaps sit on the edge of your bed, soft light, maybe close your eyes if you wish, and then recollect everything that you experienced throughout the entire day from start to finish. I woke up, I hit snooze, I went back to sleep, I hit snooze again, then I finally got up, I went and brushed my teeth and washed my face, I sat down at my desk, etc. Just recount all the way through the entire day everything that you experienced, right until the point of, and I sat down and started my introspection. Click, the light goes off, bedtime. So what this is doing is not so much strengthening the intellect, but making it available. So there will be plenty of desires and impulses that the mind has that we are capable of controlling. I know that if the mind says go have a sweet, I can say no thank you very much. But today for some reason I didn't do it. My intellect is strong enough. I know it is because I've overcome that impulse in the past. So the question is, why didn't I overcome the impulse today? The intellect was strong enough, but just not available for use. So the practice of introspection has the effect of making it available. So this effect arises as we gain some momentum in the practice of introspection. What's happening is that we are developing an understanding and keeping that at the forefront of our mind. We're developing an understanding of the sort of thought habits and thought patterns that we are used to engaging in. We're creatures of habit. You're maybe familiar with the notion from neuroscience that the brain is hardwired to think certain things. And the idea is that the more often we think something, what happens is that the neural pathways within the structure of the brain reconfigure themselves to make it easier and easier and easier to have that thought again. So it's like creating grooves. You think of an old LP, there's grooves. So we're creating grooves in the mind, as it were. The practice of introspection makes us aware of those grooves so that we are prepared for when the mind does what the mind does. So we use a simple example. Let's say you come out every morning, open your cupboard, and there's a plastic tumbler up top, boom, falls down onto the countertop. You put it back up, close it. Next morning, down it falls again. Next morning, open the cupboard, down it falls. 4 or 5 mornings in a row. On the 5th morning, you reach for the cupboard. What happens, hopefully? You're ready for it. because it's happened so many times, you know what's going to happen next. Now, of course, the better solution is to put the tumbler somewhere else. But the idea, of course, is that when we recollect something enough times, we get ready for it. And so the sort of mental patterns or the mental reactions that I have that don't serve my well-being, I'll start to become aware of them, so that as I come in contact with a particular stimulus, I know what my mind is going to do, and I'm ready to catch it. Otherwise, I'm taken by surprise again, and my mind just reacts with that stimulus. Yeah, it's a really good point. There's no analysis, there's no thinking, well, that was a good thing, I'll try to do that next time, or no, that was a bad thing, I'll try to avoid that. Or how will I deal with that next time? Nothing. It's only recollection, start to finish. Often a question we also get asked about introspection is, should I write it down? No. It's a lot of information. Everything you did from start to finish for the entire day, unless you can write as fast as you think. And anyway, why do you want to keep it? No, it's not journaling, it's not diarizing, it's just recollection.
What if you do this straight when you go to bed, the first thing when you lie down?
You'll go to sleep. It's so difficult to.
Get you to sleep,
right? It is a great way to get you to sleep, actually. Yeah, it's so tough. It's so tough to get through it. If you lie down and turn the lights off and then start your introspection, you'll get halfway through the day at best, and you're out. It is. It is actually a good tool for getting you to sleep. But then you miss the value of the introspection. So this is why we say have the lights on, soft light, and do it sitting up.
Yeah.
It makes it much easier.
I mean, you have to go through the good and bad, all the thoughts of the day.
Everything, start to finish. And don't call it good or bad. Just stuff. Just whatever happened. Like watching a DVD on fast forward. And 5, 6, 7 minutes it should take, not longer than that. So you're going through really fast.
And other things I can't remember. There's so many things.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you can't remember, fine, skip over. Then I have for lunch. And what did I have for lunch? I can't remember. Keep going.
Yeah.
And I looked at the menu and I ordered. And then if you can't remember, fine, let there be a gap. But don't sit there trying to figure out.
You get into it,
But you do it chronologically, right?
Chronologically, yeah. And remembering the internal as well, if it's relevant. So, I got on the freeway and I turned left, and there's no emotional component to that. It was just, if there's no emotional component to the experience, don't try and remember something that wasn't there. If I turned onto the freeway and there was a gruesome accident in front of me and I was shocked and horrified, then that's what you would remember. So remember the content of the experience, but don't try to force anything. It's a very easy, simple practice. It's actually not as simple as it sounds.